I see quite a number of our speakers here. So in order not to waste, time, I was going to do like some sort of introduction, but I'll have you guys do the introduction, introduce yourselves so that I don't make it as lengthy as I wanted to. So you do the introduction and we can begin from there. So while introducing yourself, maybe just, start with your opening. I would like to call on Ifoma. I don't know if Ifoma is ready.
Hi, thank you so much for calling me. So this is a big day for me. I mean, so this is a big day for me. So thank you for calling me. So my name is Ifoma. I'm the founder for a company called Shiclided. And basically why we exist is to create economic prosperity for women through driving them to consume financial services. Our biggest product is business loans for women. And we've deployed over $2.2 million to women-led businesses across Nigeria. We are in 10 states in Nigeria, and we currently expanded to 4 other African countries. So thank you so much for having me.
Great. Hello, Dr. Mekong.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me as well. My name is Mayokun Fadeyibi. I am the SVP West Africa at AutoCheck. AutoCheck launched in 2020. I see someone saying he can't hear, but I'm assuming everybody else can hear, right?
I suppose that's the person's
Okay,
option.
just wanted to check in. Yes, so like I mentioned, I manage our West African operations here at AutoCheck, and that covers Nigeria and Ghana. Just looking at what exactly AutoCheck does, AutoCheck is an auto financing company, and we facilitate auto loans for customers across Africa. So we launched in 2020. We are at the moment in about 7 different countries across Africa: East Africa, West Africa, North Africa, and South Africa. And we're looking forward to continuing to drive credit penetration, particularly for mobility financing across Africa. So that's essentially a quick background about me.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi, Blessing. I see you also. You're muted.
Victoria. Thank you so
Hi,
much.
good morning.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Blessing Abeng. I'm a branding and communications professional, and I do this in many ways. Some of the ways that I've done it in the past is as the CMO and co-founder of a tech company that eventually got acquired by Flutterwave. And currently I'm the co-founder and director of communications of Ingressive for Good, which is an edtech nonprofit focused on increasing the earning power of African youths. And we've trained about 132,000 youths in tech so far and placed thousands of them in jobs. Super happy to be here. I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Great.
The
Great.
speakers
Thank
who
you so much.
well. Hi.
Okay, I suppose that it's just you 3 that are guest speakers available. I do not see anyone else. I don't think I'm missing anyone else. So let's jump. I mean, it's just you 3. So let's just dive right into it. There is Loretta. I don't see Loretta here. Oh, hi, Loretta. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I see iPhone X with your profile. That's why I missed that. So could you please unmute your microphone? I still cannot hear you. Your microphone is muted. Okay, I'm gonna try to unmute you here.
Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Okay, so my name is Loretta Odusholu. I'm the Group Executive Director of Up to 5 Holdings Limited, a real estate and development firm and services firm that has, amongst its many notable achievements, it currently built and manages Ocean Bay Estate, a housing estate that has about 400 homes. over 1,000 residents currently, as well as the Heritage Place estate by the Novare Mall, Shogotadu. We're currently building about 5 or 6 other estates all over Nigeria, and we also provide services for all these estates. Our company's key, I think over the last, we're now known particularly for our store product, which is basically a safe to own way of getting homes for clients who are low to medium income people who are trying to buy homes. One of our key drivers is the fact that we've realized over the last 2 to 3 years that technology is very important in transiting people into the home housing sphere. A lot of people previously couldn't buy houses for so many reasons, but with mortgages, technology, and a lot of apps to enable them buy houses, they're able to buy lets, use them for short lets, use the apps for managing the estates, and that's basically what we do. Those are our primary drivers to grow our own company currently. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. I mean, I have read all your profiles. So, I'm going to be leveraging, I mean, I believe that the speakers here are, business owners and very senior people, in their areas of expertise, all right? So I will come from that angle with some of the questions that I'll ask. And before I even go right into it, I'll please ask that our participants, while the session is ongoing, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box so that I can, collate and just have a sense of, timing to see the questions that we have as we go on. And we'll come back to your questions just immediately after the speakers take their opening sessions. So I think that Ifeoma, it's safe for you to start with your, opening session. I mean, I think for just 5 minutes each on the topic. Are you there? Can you hear me? Ifeoma, are you there? Okay, I'm going to try to unmute you here.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
So, digital transformation and business growth. I feel that in the last 5-10 years, technology has changed the way that we work, we talk, we do business, and it has provided opportunities for many people, particularly women. I mean, I was looking at the stats for women in business and just being able to see how many women that previously had to stay at home can now start businesses at home and be able to make money. And many women that we did not know that were doing amazing things, we can now see them. So what it has done in the last 5 years or in the last decades was to be able to present a global stage for women and for any business person to be able to do what they're trying to do. So, and I believe that every business is either a tech company or a tech-enabled business. So that's my intro.
I have questions for you already. let's just go on to Dr. Mayoko, if you could please have your opening.
Thank you so much. I think just going back to the topic, right, which is along the lines of, elevating visibility for women through digital transformation and business growth. Like Ifeoma had mentioned, right, one of the things that tech has done in the last few years is bridging that digital divide. If we think about from the days of COVID, people are able to work from home, e-commerce across digital platforms, you're able to bridge the gap of actually having to go to the marketplace. If I think about it, even directly with auto financing, like we are currently doing, we're using and facilitating that tech for people to get access to financing, where you can go to a website, you can walk into your dealer location, you want to buy a vehicle, and you can actually just send in your details and get a credit offer or a credit decision relatively immediately, right? Versus when you had to go fill in paper forms, go to a bank before you can actually get access to credit. Now, the other side of it is business growth as well. If we think about credit and credit penetration across Africa. So credit penetration is relatively low. In some cases, across different countries, you're looking at, on average, across board about 2%, right? And one of the things credit does is credit facilitates growth, where you get more access to working capital to actually grow your business. If I think specifically from an auto financing perspective, as an SME, you can get access to credit to for transportation, where you can actually move your business along. So really that blend of technology, that blend of credit actually serves as a very strong driver for business growth for SMEs and across board as well.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm tempted to go right into the questions, but Blessing, while you're taking your, opening, right? Could you, alongside, I know that you help young people with starting up, businesses, and you sold to Flutterwave. That's huge. All right. So if you could please help to, alongside your opening, what are some of the strategies that you've used and how have they worked for you as a woman in this space? And how have you infused digital, have you infused technology? I'm not going to, yeah. And how has that worked for you?
Thank you. So I was going to start off with some stats. So for example, according to the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor Annual Survey, it stated that 41% of early stage businesses are run by women and only 39% are run by men. And the others are undisclosed. So by the details that we have, more women run early stage businesses. However, when you take that data one step further and you do some research, I think according to Bridge Education, one of the research they did, only 30% of registered enterprises are owned by women. So yes, 41% early stage businesses are women. Only 30% are registered, and out of those 30% that are registered, very, very limited number of them have access to funding. And then they're not even as visible, right? It's because it doesn't even feel like we even have up to 30% of businesses that are run by women. And when you think about these statistics, it makes you wonder, we are over, like, the empowerment conversation is way too much. I think that we get the information about, mentorship. Everybody wants to mentor us. Everybody wants to, empower women, but maybe the direct activity, the enablement, which is why I applaud businesses and activities that people like Shecluded, run, where they're directly enabling women, providing the funding. But one of the best things that have happened to us is technology. I've always seen technology as an enabler. So it's like a level playing field that brings things and makes it easier and faster, which is what technology is supposed to do. It makes things easier, it makes things faster, and it accelerates a lot of things. So technology has created an opportunity for us to take our destinies into our hands and, build a level of visibility that attracts the right amount of attention. Yesterday, a female-founded business just raised $1 million to promote her delivery and push and drive her business called First Delivery. And that's making waves because it's not popular for women to raise over $1 million in the ecosystem. So just paying attention to all of that and tying it back to my story, technology has been a big helping ground in terms of leveraging things like social media, leveraging, ability to reach out to people who were supposedly out of reach. I think in 2020, I got to meet Seth Godin, and beyond just connecting with him, we've gone on to do projects together. And that would never have happened if I needed to pay a plane ticket, travel to the US. I wouldn't be knocking on his door. So leveraging technology is a great way for us to build network, is a great way for us to access grant opportunities, access other opportunities that are available. There are more and more grants that are focused on women now. There are more and more people who are giving funding to women. And so just being able to leverage technology to do research and things like that is super, super helpful. But beyond all of that, even leveraging technology for business growth, one of the things that I've learned is, yes, we may not be able to do it all by ourselves, but there are tools that can help us. There are tools that have made it possible for us to automate parts of our businesses. For example, I don't need to hire an accountant off the bat when I'm just starting. I could get, accountier. I could pay for a tool like Wave Apps that's going to do most of that heavy lifting for me until I grow to the level where I can afford to hire an accountant. I don't need to hire an assistant off the bat. I could pay for Fireflies. I could pay for a scheduling tool. I could, there's just a couple of tools now that you can pay for. But of course, you need money. And so the conversation always somehow at the end of the day boil us back and bring us back to funding.
Absolutely. You're very correct. And it's one of the questions that we will, I know for sure that the participants are, they have their ears, latched onto that, topic. So we'll definitely get there. But Mrs. Odushola, if you could please have your opening also, so that we can just, go right into the many other questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of your participants is right here with me, Imelda. So that's why it seems like we're a speaker.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right here with me. Okay. Yes. Yeah, so I to go ahead to support what Blessing and Mayakon said. Technology has really changed the game over the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years. It's changed the game of how businesses are done. It's changed the way our business is run. I think in the real estate sector as a whole, it's changed the way that we purchase homes. It's changed the way that we sell homes. It's also, a lot of you who are maybe on social media would have seen so many homes being sold in ways that they were not being sold before. We're using social media, we're using Instagram, we're using all kinds of apps to sell. Just like Blessing said, some people are becoming real estate agents. Typically, they're just one-man people who have no accountants, no structure per se, but they're going out there and they're selling homes and making money simply because there's a social media app that they can use to display the homes that developers like our company build. So I would also say that, for instance, for us in particular, we had over the last 3 years, we've developed about 3 or 4 apps. One of them is called OEM, which enables us to manage our estates. Managing the estates can be really a pain if you don't have particular apps that you use to collect money from clientele. You find that clients are owing you money for like 1 year, 6 months, 8 months, whatever. But with the apps that we developed for our own and which we're using for other developers, we're able to prevent that. We're able to make sure that clients are able to pay their monies as and when due. They're able to pay their money, buy power, buy water from the comfort of their home or from abroad. You don't have to be in your house to pay for water in your house or for utilities. So that's one of the things that, and also the fact that there's access to mortgages now. So what we found was that a lot of people found it difficult to get money to buy homes. We've always known that. It's something that our company has been on for about 20 years. We've always known that. But what technology did is that in the last 5 years, it enabled us to get clientele that we otherwise had to travel long distances to get. We're global. We're getting clients all over the world who have never actually been to any of our locations before. They're just actually buying them online just because they trust the brand. So it's I think technology basically, like I said, has changed the game. It enables you to turn around faster. What you could do in 1 or 2 years, you're able to do it in 3 or 4 months, and sometimes in 2 months. So it's basically made businesses smarter. It's made businesses more agile. Women-led businesses in particular. I see all over social media that there's so many women that women organizations now that are doing great things. And I think in my sector, which is real estate and services, we have so many people who are leading the game, as it were, and transforming the sector. So it's something that we're extremely happy that technology is making the way easier for us. And particularly for me, I studied computer science and economics in school. So this is something that I studied like 30 years ago. And I'm beginning to see that 30 years later, I'm beginning to see what exactly it's doing in the homes and that we build and in the developments that we do. Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, I feel like we wouldn't be having a women-led clinic if women were, I'm trying not to use the wrong words, right? If women-led businesses were, high up there and thriving as much as they should, right? These topics, these kinds of events are happening because, first, I think that, women, in the real sense of things, women got into, business as it were, later than the men, all right? Several opportunities are available to women now because, from study, it has shown that women are able to hold businesses down, right? So, I see okay. Studies have shown that women are able to hold businesses down, right? Women are also very innovative and their innovations are also thriving, all right? However, I think the first things to address would be formalization of businesses. From Blessing's stats that she presented, it's obvious that, we're still, women-led businesses are still lagging behind with formalization, right? So, if I may ask, I think I see Imelda. Yes, Imelda. Hi, Imelda.
Hi.
You're muted. Hi. So
Morning.
I'm going to just ask you to quickly do your intro. But while you're doing that, I just hope you heard what I just said. While you're doing that, could you also help address the issue of formalization with women-led businesses and how technology is available to help solve that?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning once again. It's good to be here. So basically, I believe that technology is actually available, for businesses in general. During the International Women's Day, something that came to my heart when I was coming up with the content or the post for that day was that actually there's technology, there's everything available for businesses to grow. Because these platforms are not selective of who makes use of them, The real issue is, as women, are we ready to embrace these technologies? So you find a lot of female businesses, doing well in terms of numbers, which has basically to do with revenue now. They're selling, they're making sales and all of that. But a key important or integral part of their business processes is still manually done and traditionally done. So everything about their business is still played on paper. There's no adaptation to evolvement and change, which is currently going on. And when you talk to them, they are saying things like, that's what I'm used to, that's what I'm comfortable with. So they don't even want to change it. As part of what we do as in my brand, Things Meet Nigeria, is actually what we do is create marketing channels through technology, for instance. And when we started, people were
I think that I would like to jump in there. I think before we wait for her and stuff. So
saying that, okay, so because your focus is the real estate market in terms of technology for this sector, you're probably going to one day start getting and reach people. That's what usually happens to some female-led businesses. They actually lose focus along the line. And so you just go with it. They go with the trend. They see it a lot of times as side hustle, And the men don't take us seriously when we start a business. You see hustlers say, are you sure you're going to pull through with this thing? Because there is no focus. So the real issue here for me is that women are not ready to embrace. That's the first thing. And that is in line with the theme of this year's International Women's Day celebration, actually advocating for embracement of these level playing ground that has been provided in all sectors. So I don't believe, or I strongly think that there's technology available But how ready as women are we ready to take this up and then allow it transform, our businesses and transform our leadership in general,
Right.
in terms of business. So that's what one of the things that I'd like to really talk about today.
Great, thank you so much, Imelda. Ifeoma, I believe you had something to add there.
So if you look at the numbers of female-led business, particularly in Nigeria, it says, there's a tweet that went viral the last time where by Mila Melidagate that says women are 4 times likely to start a business. Women in Nigeria are 4 times more likely to start a business. So if you look at Africa, Africa has the highest number of female entrepreneurs, and Nigeria is leading that match. And just by the work that we do in Shikloaded, I'm beginning to have more deep insight into what that means. Many women are women in business, so they are self-employed. They started to be able to make a living, whereas just a few of them are entrepreneurs. A key difference between how they do over time is the access to funding, but primarily access to information, access to network, and not to add time poverty and all the other challenges that many women face to do that. I think taking us back to the question that you asked on how can women use technology to formalize their business, right? That's what you asked. In terms of formalizing their business, I don't know what that means. Is it a CSC or how to grow their business or how to...
Formalizing your business, I think it's pretty wide. It goes beyond, CSC. CSC is when you want to, but it's the record keeping, it's the, taking account.
Structuring their business, basically.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so a key challenge, a key way that I feel that many women are using technology to formalize their businesses, one, which is the easiest catch, is that many of them are still using technology for marketing. As we see on Instagram, as we see on Facebook, these are channels that typically would not be available to them. Many of them have also started using them to get to hire staff that originally they might not be able to afford and have them on full-time basis, which is sort of like the freelance support staff that people have all over the world for women. I think that many women have also started using it to work internally, whether it's their finance operations or basically their, I think finance is the key one that I see many women using it for. So yes.
Okay. I know that there are lots of solutions that are available for, record keeping, especially the finance part, like you said, and that's spot on. But like Imelda said, the level of acceptability, is another topic for another day. I work with a fintech. I pretty much grew the business with the co-founders, the operations of the business, and my experience is I've seen women owned businesses that when you get to them, they cannot take decisions for themselves and have to wait for their husbands to run things by their husbands before they can take decisions, in their businesses, right? So, Mrs. Loretta, this question is for you. I'm coming back to you. What did you say? Someone said something.
I run the business with my husband.
Oh, you run your business with your husband. That's great.
I work with.
That's great, but please go on. Go on.
So we're co-founders in our business.
Mm-hmm.
But you're asking me a question.
Yes. So my question will be, as a woman, a woman-led business, all right? How do you surmount that hurdle, of, just getting complete control Because I feel like that's very important, especially, I mean, for you, you're a co-founder with your husband, so that's a complete different kettle of fish, right? But as a woman-led business, how can you take ownership? You know, the whole cultural thing in Nigeria is something that holds many women bound. All right. So how can a woman, just get herself out of that and take ownership of her business? Because I feel like that is the start.
Well, I think it all has to do with what you mean by ownership. I think and I also think it also depends on the kind of marriage you have. A lot of men really, if they feel that the work front is stressing their wives out and creating problems in their family, they do or maybe the wife keeps on getting ill a lot and everything. They do sometimes ask the wife to step aside from the business and let maybe managers run the business better. And also I do find that sometimes as a CEO, depending on the kind of person you are, if you're a CEO or MD of your firm, there are people who are micromanagers. There are people who are, I think blessing is it that you said you sold your business to Flutterwave, which means you don't own the business anymore. You're no longer in the business, correct? Some people are depending on the stage of your business, and I think that's where some husbands say, look, where your business has gotten to, I want to sell it off to somebody. You might want to, and there are different reasons for doing this. Sometimes it's because you go into a stage where you have like 4 or 5 businesses that you're running, and you're like, you know what, I can't do all of them at the same time. So you sell off some of them to another person, or you get other managers to run the business effectively in your stead. They still report directly to you, but you allow them to be the face of the business. And there's nothing wrong with that. Again, like I said, it all depends on the kind of relationship you have with your husband and relationship you have with your wife. But I do agree with you. In Nigeria, there is that dogma around men making decisions, even in businesses that they don't own or they don't run. Even when for instance, they allow. I mean, in my case, I run 2 arms of our business, and my husband runs the other 2 arms. Sometimes I'm fully in control of everything. Sometimes I allow him to run and to give ideas and to suggest what we should do in things. Why? And he allows him to do the same thing in the other arm. The reason why we do that sometimes is because we realize that one person has sharper ideas about something. And then, of course, there are times when health issues dictate that you might have to take a step back. There's so many reasons, and but I do realize that in Nigeria, it can be tough. It can really be tough for even if you're not running a business with your husband, like in our case, you might just be at home working maybe in your home office, and your husband says, you can't use the house anymore for your business. You have to get a proper office. Or you might want to leave the office and come home, and he says, no, you can't do that. So that it can be very tough for women. But I think with understanding and with guidance many times, and also relying upon people around you who can see better than you can see, sometimes it does get better.
I have a comment.
Yeah. Okay, please go ahead.
So I'm sorry I'm taking this personal. I work in women finance, and typically when
I was actually going to come to you for a finance related question, but I wanted to push that to the end. See, there are a number of things that are holding women bound, women-led businesses bound, a number of things, right? And one of them being, the question that I just asked, Mrs. Loretta.
Yeah.
Women need to gain control of their businesses. And when I say control, it doesn't mean you can bounce ideas off your husband. However, I'm saying the kind of control that can let you go out, shoulders high, head up, and own the decisions that you make, own your mistakes, correct them, go into meetings, and make decisions. You have information that can gain you access into rooms and doors. The statistics that Blessing gave at the beginning, I mean, the gap is still huge. Women-led businesses can still come up there, but these are some of the things that we need to address. All right. And I'm going to maybe allow you, make a comment and just move on from that. But that's one key thing to really note. Ifeoma?
She's gone
Hi,
off.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So stepping back to what you just said about ownership, there's something that I wanted to say. As long if you struggle with ownership problem in a company that your name is on the CAC document, there's a problem somewhere. Step
I've seen
back.
it happen a lot.
So again, like I repeat, if you struggle with a company that your name is the owner of the CAC document, there's a problem somewhere. And I think as an individual, you need to fix it on that borderline. In terms of control, he who controls the bucket controls everything. I mean, that has always been what has held women back. So if you own a company and you sign the check and you have control issues, you need to look within. So one thing I've learned with working with women is that even for myself, even as a woman, is that you have to compartmentalize your life. I think that that's what men do better than us, which is the fact that many people are lucky to have supportive spouse. I mean, my husband is supportive. He lets me do anything. It's my company, whatever you want to do, he doesn't care. If you find out quickly that you don't have that, you need to know that relationship is in this box. Business is in this box, and they don't touch.
Yeah.
In terms of taking bold strides, that's another conversation. It's based on personality, based on drive, based on everything. But I think that I think that knowing and educating women that if you start a business and you have a relationship, they're in two different boxes.
Mhm.
And if both boxes interfere with the productivity and the success of both boxes, you have to sit down and reevaluate and take a decision. So thank
Right.
you.
Thank you, Ifoma.
Sorry, I wanted to quickly add to that. Ifoma did a great job sort of breaking that down, but what I wanted to add is just to give us more perspective. Think about it from the perspective of, we're not having this conversation for men, right? We're not saying things like your wife is saying you should no longer do XYZ, you're tired, don't do this. Like, we're not having the same conversations. Most times, some men alienate their wives from their businesses. It's like they don't even talk about work at home. And so maybe it starts from the roots, maybe from the moment where you're dating someone. Maybe you're not a business owner yet, but how do they react to your work? How do they behave with your work? Maybe those are things we should be considering before we even marry. You know, like, it's such an important thing. My husband is very, very supportive of my work, but we've always had a very, open conversation. I contribute to his work, he contributes to my work, I contribute to his business, he contributes to my business. Is mutual, is respectful, and there's that. There is no case of allowing, because I shouldn't be allowing you to do your work at your business. You shouldn't be allowing me. Like, what does allow mean? It should be that, we're mutually respectful of each other's work. Yes, I could give you advice, and it should be your ultimate and final decision to take or reject that advice. However, this is not the reality. In many cases, because of how culture has played into, and religion has played into, you are the head of the home, it sometimes falls into every other aspect. It falls into how women handle their finances, which is why you find that some women, even if they're probably earning more than their husbands, the man is still controlling their finances. They sometimes do not have access to that money. They take everything, they put it in a joint account. Same thing for business. It's like you're the figurehead and then this other person is controlling everything. So I think maybe creating clear boundaries, having things like setting a board in place where you're not the ultimate decision maker, where you have other people you can turn to make decisions, where before you make a decision, not just you are making that decision, it's also like my co-founder is making a decision, my board is making a decision. A husband can control you maybe, but he can't control your board. He can't control you can create structures and put things in place to make it really difficult for one person to control, right? So you can take charge of your business, but even you shouldn't be the sole controller of your business. Set structures in place that would also regulate you as well, have a board, have a structure, have policies. This is like, I know a lot of people don't spend time thinking about these things because you wake up, you want to start a business, you're caring about the problem, the solution, and the money you would make. But many other factors affect these things, right? So if you're not making the right decisions, if you don't have good, if you don't have good maintenance or good culture, good hiring processes, good team members who are going to, put things in place to help you, you're going to struggle. So hire the right people. Make sure that you relinquish power to the people that you hire and trust to be able to make decisions on other level. Please, please, please hire a board. Please, please, please have an advisory board, even if you don't have like a full-on board.
Yeah.
Don't be 100% responsible for everything and all of the decision making, and be very honest as well with your husband that yes, you own the business, but this business is beyond you. And I hope that you're trying to build a generational company that outlives you as well. So that could be really helpful. Then the second thing that I wanted to address was in relation to something that Imelda said. I'm sure this was not your intention, but it almost came off as though, these opportunities are available, tech is available, but it's women's fault that they're not necessarily accessing some of these things. To an extent, that is true, but to another extent, it's not the complete truth, because even in Ingressive for Good, when we first started, we thought, access to the training courses, was the problem, and people didn't have money to access those courses. But we found out that the problems are bigger than that. There are problems that are political. There are problems that are, foundational, in the sense that you provide these resources, you provide these opportunities, but there is no internet, there is no lights, there is no, there are other things that are really, really difficult that is making it almost hard to take advantage of the digital opportunities that exist. So if you didn't even have basic education that you needed in the first place, you're going to struggle. And it's no news that many girls are denied education because of cultural norms. So just us having empathy for that, but also finding ways that we can help them realize that, this exists, this happens. Yes, you're probably not using the internet as well, but maybe don't even Google yet. Set up an email account, use emails to connect with people, just sort of breaking it down into smaller chunks and helping people see that, once you surpass emails, maybe next time you can download it. So maybe next time you can hire Gen Zs to work for you who would bring this tool to your business, whether you like it or not. Just creating those tiny pockets of things that could encourage more people. I think that would be a very great way for us to go as well.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Very important. Two questions. One is for you, Dr. Miyoko.
Yes, and actually, I think go ahead and ask your question, but it's been a very interesting conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Across board. And going back to your initial question, actually, as to, us even having this conversation, right? It's a conversation that's typically not happening, when it comes to, when you think about men, and I think it's come out even in people talking about, and I think the reality is, the reason why we have to have this conversation is really what I would call education, right? Access to opportunity. Us having this conversation is actually giving a woman out there access to opportunity. Knowledge that they did not have before, that they were not aware of before. Tools have been mentioned on this call, right? That people might not even have known existed. And if I think about it, if I look at the panel that we have here, from a cultural perspective, and even from Nigeria as a whole, the women here are the exception, not the norm, right? The norm in our society today are women who probably have not even had access to this. From an educational perspective, we talk about, women not having access. It starts from even education. Women not, everybody starts together in primary school, but by the time you get to secondary school, the ratio of men to women has dropped. Women have dropped, there's more men in school, right? Because women are being asked to stay at home to look after their siblings, to help the family, to help their mom at the store, and the men, and there's this idea that, let's educate the man child. That's who would, can do better, that can support the family ultimately. So we start to have some of those inequalities even come from that time. And I think then going even into the broader question around formalizing structures, again, yes, we can talk about, when you're dating, what type of husband, blah, blah, blah. But again, if we think about the women on this call, we're the exception, not the norm. So how can a woman understand better, right? The separation between business and family. Again, it is programs like this. Yes, we say a lot about, women need mentorship. It's because we're recognizing that divide exists. It's because we're recognizing, like Blessing said, right? Women might be given access to the tools, but the hows, they're not as clear about it, right? And so what things like this are doing, what secluded, what ingressive, what they're doing is actually opening people's eyes. Because if you look at it, perception, reality, right? Representation, right? Representation does something where a woman can see herself, right? And can see that, I can also access this support. This is someone like me, right? It does so much for not just that woman, but even the girl child that lives with that woman, right? So there's a lot of generational impact that can actually start to come in with some of what we see as these little initiatives, but really, it is really just broadening the gap and opening up the opportunities.
Right. Everyone is spot on and absolutely correct, right? I have pulled out 2 questions from what you all have said. I want us to move, Imelda, I want us to move completely from this because I feel like we have addressed it, a lot. We have all spoken about it a lot. And, I know that our participants have, learned from the points that we've made. So Imelda, you want to take a minute?
Yes, so basically, speaking into the last conversation, just to quickly wrap up on that. And then based on what Blessing said, so it's not like an outright outburst to women or saying that, this is the fault of women. I mean, yes, I understand that some of these opportunities, of course, there's also the issue of there's a gender bias already, that women face normally. But my point is that for women who you give all this knowledge to, right, and then you try to have all conversations like this, implementing is usually slower than men in women generally. And I mean, we've mentioned some of the reasons here, the factors here that leads to that or that causes that. Things like they need influence, they need a lot of influence, they see their businesses more like side hustles rather than being entrepreneurs and building structures. We mentioned all of that. So that's where I was coming from. And I mean, part of what we do at Business Women Hub, a hub that we manage for women in businesses, within, especially young business owners, female business owners, between the age of businesses between the age of 1 to 5 years in existence, is how they should see these businesses beyond side hustles, and see them as organizations and building structures for their organizations. But again, some of the drawbacks that we get, and this is coming from the grassroots, is that these people are not usually ready to even accept all these things. So it's important that they are also told and that we keep mentioning to them that these things are things that you need to implement and you need to accept. If you'd want to grow your business, if you'd want your organization to actually run away, move from a side hustle, a business, to actually being an entrepreneurial outfit or an organization with structures that we've mentioned here. And so, in much as there are the setbacks for women in terms of all the things we mentioned from the gender bias angle, it's also really important. That was like my first part of the conversation, for me, was that I feel like everybody listening who is a female entrepreneur should embrace and accept all the things that we're going to talk about here. Because the truth is, you can mention all these things, you can give out all these platforms and opportunities, and then they are not open-minded. They're so used to doing things. Some of them don't even understand that, we need to actually receive emails, as basic as an email is. Let's move away from Facebook, just as I think it was the lady from the last speaker that mentioned that move away from running adverts now on Facebook and Instagram. I said that you need to have an email address for your company and respond to your clients from a basic email, not a website, as little as your business name and at gmail.com. Some of them understand that. So they're still, communicating with clients from, another angle, like maybe WhatsApp, phone calls, as against having this professionalism and structure in their company. Even invoicing is something that some of them don't take. They rather just send you the bill on WhatsApp and tell you the amount and pay to my account. So these are things that as fundamental as it can go, as basic as it can go, some women haven't taken, and these are women that are doing well. You go to the outfits are doing very well. So it's not like it's a laid back young business owner now. No, you see enterprises that are large buildings, making large revenues, but they haven't implemented digital technologies and innovations into their business. And it's because they don't just think that it is necessary. So those are like the set of women that I was addressing.
Right. Thank you for clarifying. My next question is this, right? Let's talk personal and professional life balance. Dr. Miyoko, this is important. We can't remove, I know we're talking digital, but we can't take this out of women-led businesses. It's a core. How do we address it? And how do we let it, how do we ensure that, it's not holding our businesses back? Because it does today.
Yes, of course it does. And even outside of businesses, right? If we think about even in the corporate world, women professionals, work-life balance. I mean, for me, I say work-life balance is a myth, right? Really what it is how are you kind of integrating work and life together, right? And just trying to balance it or just trying to ease it across board. I think a major difference between men and women, unfortunately, is a lot of women are professionals, they're running their businesses, but they're also the primary homemakers. And so for me, my advice for women is, leverage on the support systems that your husband or your male colleagues are leveraging on. Your male colleague is leveraging on his wife as the primary homemaker. You as a woman put the necessary structures in place for you to also ensure you can run your business effectively, you can do your job effectively. From support systems such as family members to support you, help at home. You're looking at things like even, drivers, just structures, right? Put those structures in place, because I can assure you, male-run businesses, they are not thinking about what is someone going to eat at home, what are they wearing? I mean, all of those things, right? They're just going and running their businesses. So you as the woman, understanding that you're passionate about your work, you're passionate about your business, put that structure in place, right? And in most cases, you don't even have to do it from I've talked about opportunities from getting the right help, right? You can also get the right help where if it's not formal help, you're leveraging on your ecosystem. That's the good thing about us as Nigerians as well, right? We're very family oriented. Leverage on your mom, leverage on your sisters, leverage on your family, right? So you don't have to think about it from a cost perspective as well. Being able to leverage on those structures and ensuring that you're putting things in place to ensure that for your business, you can also run effectively. If you have to do things even from a timing perspective, you understand that, yes, you have to pick up the kids or you have to be home by a certain time. That's fine, because you want to be there for the kids. We also don't want absent parents, right? You have to be there for the kids. After the kids have gone to bed, you continue your work. So it's just that understanding of, listen, I have to make this work, and then being able to identify the house and being very realistic about it. Like I said, the men are not thinking about this. Half the time, then they're just going and just doing what they need to do. So as women, we need to become selfish for ourselves as well, to say, listen, I want to get this done. I want to do this. I want to build my family. I want to build my home. what do I need to do? And if I need to just rearrange things, then that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't think there are any follow-up comments. I have a question for you, Ms. Loretta, and then I'll come to you, Blessing. I just want us to address also a number of us have spoken on, ensuring that we have the right skill employed into our businesses to help women-led businesses. However, I know that we're talking about women-led businesses. However, I know that women are still slightly, maybe it's changing today, but women are just slightly disadvantaged in terms of being, recruited into top roles. How have you in your business, ensured that you in terms of recruiting, you have helped inclusivity, if you allow me to use that word? Yeah. You're muted. You're muted.
Okay, so in our business, funny enough, we have a lot of women in our business. I think that has the fact that over the last 20 years, my husband and I believe that women are more loyal. Women are more likely to stay in a business for longer. Women are more dedicated, and they also are more detailed. That's my personal belief, and it's also his personal belief. So we, at the top level, our CFO, a lot of our managers are women. Our digital marketing people, they're mostly women. So along all areas of our business, we put women in charge. Even our marketing campaigns for last year talks about being a boss lady, such that people start asking my husband, is this all the ideas of your wife? Or are these your ideas? Because you're a man and you're not pushing the male agenda. We have a lot of men who work for us as well. Because we have facility management and security as part of our business, which is our male-dominated kind of roles. But at the end of the day, we have women who are leading these businesses, and we have women who are administrators of these businesses as well. It's just the way we run. I think for me personally, as a woman, I like the fact. However, it does mean that sometimes women, when they're working together, can be a bit funny. They get emotional sometimes, and so sometimes you have to resolve fights in the office, as it were. But the thing is that I think women they're more detailed. We've had women who have worked for us for like 10 years. We have men who come in for like 6 months and they're ready to set up their own business. So it's just the way our business is structured. We love women in our business, and we're very boss lady oriented.
Right. That's good to know. But however, Blessing, you're in the tech space. It's different in the tech space. It's actually different in the tech space. So what do you think women can do to get into that that tiny door at the top level?
Okay, I think this was 2021 International Women's Day. We looked at the data and we found out that it's even better, right? Only 30% of roles are, filled by women in tech, and that's from sub-Saharan Africa. Apparently, in parts of the world is like 25%, and that was a bit concerning because before we even start getting to the top, before we start talking about, higher level conversations and whatnot, just at the basic level, only 30%, right? So by the time you're going to the top, the number is reducing. So it may not even be that they don't want leaders or women to occupy leadership position. It's just that out of 10 people who are available for the role, only 3 women versus 7 men. So how do you even get a 5-to-5 perfect ratio when you're trying to pick a leader, right? And so we wanted to start from the bottom of that. And one of the key things we did at Aggressive for Good was we empowered people with skills. We started off right off the bat, training people, giving them the skills that they needed to be able to access the, to get the skills. So once you have the skills, you're more likely to be able to compete for the opportunity. And then now you can be in the role or you can get a job and things like that. And that really paid off well. People used to tell us things like women don't apply for opportunities, we see all these things. And it's because sometimes what we found out later was that sometimes the information is not created or curated in a way that appeals to women. It's not it sounds competitive. There's a way that it sounds, and it already scares them away, even if they're qualified to apply. When we created opportunities that were specifically for women, I think we started a 1,000 Women in X program. And once we did that, immediately we did that. The change, like 17,000 people applied for an opportunity within 2 weeks. And we only had 1,000 opportunities. Now, let me tell you the funny part. Out of the 17,000, there were some men. So men also applied. So some men also applied as well. And then we were like, we had to filter those out. We got women. We've been consistently, every quarter, we train 1,000 women exclusively, like minus all our other programs, right? But now our community is now 53% women. We're noticing that more women are applying, more women are completing. We're also very intentional about that. Beyond that, we're also bringing women to show them examples. And I find that it's very important when you have, should I say, people, symbols, other women who have done these things, and you bring, like we all are doing right now, we're showing women that this life that you want is possible. So that also exists. A third thing that I noticed that is really, really useful and helpful is just being like, as women, we who have been able to get to a certain level, or you who is listening to us who has gotten to a certain level, it's okay to be the first woman in the room, but it's not enough to be the only. So yes, you get in there first. Yes, you're doing whatever you're doing. Bring another woman in. Make it easier for another woman. Make the woman's journey easier, right? Those are key things that I think could be really, really helpful. If there are ways that you think in your normal life, maybe you handle social media in your company, as opposed to just posting IWD and telling everybody to embrace themselves. Ask yourself, what is one specific thing we can do for one woman on this particular day that might not get us a lot of balls, but will actually move the needle, as opposed to encouraging your company to be showing off like, oh, we have 5 women in our leadership board versus 5 men. Like, sometimes we do these things for show and it doesn't really, really move the needle. Yes, it helps a bit so people can see representation, but some of these people are doing it to wash their hands and be like, we are good. Yeah. Bad, whatever. So don't be one of those people who, like, when they're talking about racism, you're the white man who is like, oh, but I have a black friend. Don't be that person. Ask yourself, like, what is one specific thing I can do in my little corner, no matter how little, to help one woman move the needle? Is it funding a girl's education in secondary school? Is it providing mentorship to someone? Is it recommending a woman for opportunities? Is it creating opportunities for what? Like, what is one thing you can do? And I think that that's really where the game changer is, mindset wise.
That's really spot on.
We're going to talk about balance, and I love what Dr. Mayokun said, but just in addition, I think also all of us knowing that balance isn't necessarily 50-50, is knowing what part of your life requires the most attention at what time. Yeah. So the times where there's like high traffic work, during high work hours, of course, some things are going to suffer at home. And during high traffic home times, of course, some things are going to suffer at work. But like, just being able to communicate that and letting people know, okay, right now, this is what has my attention. Just being able to communicate to your team and creating structure where everything doesn't depend on you. That's how you really build a generational business. And I am talking about generational business a lot because sometimes we just build for the short term. Like, let's just build enough so we get money to pay for But that's not enough. The reason why, we keep talking about men is because they have built economic power, and the person is the person that controls most of the decisions. They're the ones that can now fund elections, which is why they support men to become whatever. They will not give their money to women. And you can't beat anybody about where they're giving their money or who they're giving their money to. You cannot. So we have to build our own economic power as well. But the way that we do that is by building institutional businesses, generational businesses that can outlive us, businesses we can pass on to our kids, businesses that, will live and stand the test of time. And the way to do that is not just, being the only person responsible. Help is the biggest hack. And maybe people don't say it enough, but help, be it automated help, from tech tools and whatever, or from individuals, help is what you need. And don't feel guilty about asking for help, because people who are successful, men or women, don't feel guilty about asking for help. So if you need to have a nanny, yes, go get a nanny. If you need an assistant, go get an assistant. If you cannot afford an assistant, who is a family person who might support you at work or support you at home? Like, be upfront about how you communicate. A lot of times we keep a lot of things inside. We're scared to offend our husband. We're scared to offend our kids. We're scared to offend, like, we're always feeling guilty. We're always feeling scared. We're just always sad. Like, all the things. I don't think it's a necessary feeling to have. I don't feel scared about some things. For you to be selfless, you have to be selfish. And for you to be selfish, you have to be selfless. So finding that good balance to say, sorry guys, right now, this XYZ, I need to get it done. I need to move the needle and it's going to take me XYZ time. But I promise when I am done with this, you have my full attention for the next 1 week. It's like almost rewarding them for the period that you've put them through suffering, right? And same thing at work. I think that can make such a big difference in your life. So that's something to consider. And please build a personal brand. That's also really helpful.
It's just interesting how you all just take the questions and you just answer the following questions, So thank you, Mrs. Loretta. Thank you, Blessing, for doing justice to that question. There are just 2 questions to ask, and I'm trying to do my best, to manage time. This is for you, Imelda. My question is, what are the opportunities that are out there that are available to women to grow, and manage women-led businesses? I know that there are several. However, it just, enlighten us on what opportunities are out there.
Okay, basically, a bit of it would be marketing as one way to grow your business. And then when I say marketing, it's beyond marketing to get sales or get clients. It's actually in also building your brand. So we have brand and marketing. And how can you build your brand is all encompassing. I mentioned a bit of some things, and I think that some other speakers have mentioned here, how women-led businesses should embrace building structure, building a team, and then also by doing that, you're going to be building tools that can help you. When you have a team of people who help you at work, they would also come up with ideas as to how you can better manage your processes. Management of processes is very important in building your process, because first it takes off burnouts. It takes off what we talked about, performance, and then being able to, the doctor talked about performance and being able to manage yourself, work, and then home business, balance, creating a balanced lifestyle. So if you manage your processes properly and make use of the tools available, for instance, if your business is maybe like a fashion designer, let me just streamline it now. If you're a fashion designer, how do you record your fabrics? How do you record the things that you need to purchase? So what you need to purchase as against what you're also designing. How do you keep records of that? What tools you have? And it's easy to find out all these tools. It's available on Google. There are so many free tools that you can make use of. You have a social media thing that helps you post once in a week. You can't what today, if you cannot enjoy it, you can also get
Imelda, I think we lost you.
Yeah, we lost you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you from Ms. Loretta's device.
We're in the same conference.
Right. I think it's frozen.
Do you want to use my phone or my system?
I think Ifoma dropped off at some point, right? But we're talking opportunities, that are available to women, be it finance-led, opportunities that are available to women. I know that our participants are interested in that. So Dr. Mayokun, Blessing, Ms. Loretta, anyone wants to pitch in before we get Imelda back?
Okay, sure. I'm happy to just jump in and, talk about some. So in terms of funding, there are a bunch of grants that have opened up for women, specifically for women. In fact, it's even cooler if you're a woman in Africa. It's like there's so many more grants that have opened up. There are investment opportunities. There are particular venture capital firms that are focused, for example, First Check, that are focused on giving women funding to start their business. There are also more considerations from VC firms to say, you must have at least one female founder in your, out of your founding board. And so this kind of things and this kind of change in policies are helping more women access, more opportunities. I also know that brands like venture capital firms like Ingressive Capital, they have a bunch of women on their portfolio as well, because they're looking out for female businesses. Now, this doesn't mean that you should be entitled that I'm a female, so therefore this opportunity. It means you have to equally do the work and showcase yourself as a female who is deserving of the opportunity. So do the due diligence you need to do, show up, come correct. There are also training opportunities as well. And another thing that I wanted to share is like a time hack, because I know time management is also something that we all struggle with. So like, maybe you can't afford to get a team to do all of these things for you. You could also batch create. You could batch particular activities into specific times where you're like, okay, I'm going to create today, on today's episode of my running my business, I'm going to create 1 month worth of content, right, for the next 3 hours, and you pull it off, or throughout the day, that's all you focus on, and that's going to serve you for 30 days. You could learn to repurpose your content. You could, like, those kind of things are helpful. If you need to do your finances and your books, set a specific days, you could also create systems and processes to ensure that you can, have your books together. So maybe you already record your invoice a certain way, just so that things get moving, right? And on the day that you need to review everything, it's not cumbersome, it's not difficult. Just create processes that work for you. So on opportunities, there are female communities and women-led communities that you can also join. In terms of tech, I know there's She Code Africa, there's Ingressive for Good. There are a bunch of communities that you can join as a woman that you would access opportunities in. But sometimes just Googling and subscribing to good newsletters will help you access these opportunities as well. And in terms of building your personal brand, which I know that's what Imelda was trying to talk about, don't overthink it. Personal brand building doesn't only happen on social media, it happens in real life as well. There has to be a balance between who you are offline and who you are online. So one of my favorite examples is like, if Kim Kardashian is fashionable in her reality TV show and she's fashionable on Instagram, but then you meet her in real life and she's not quite fashionable. Like, and so that's the same thing that happens. We need to build consistent trust in whatever it is that we say we do and whoever it is that we say we are. So if we think that we're a certain thing, let's say we're a thought leader in medicine, right? You have to also show that level of thought leadership in real life. I shouldn't engage you on conversations offline and you are giving me a whole different energy from what I'm seeing online. Pick something be consistent with, and you don't have to be on all social media platforms. You don't have to dance on TikTok to what everybody says. Everybody does not have to be a Gen Z. You could be, a millennial, you could be a Gen X, you could just come through. We all have different relationships in our lives. We have sisters, we have grandparents, all of these people relate with us differently, and we enjoy those different relationships. It's going to be very funny if I see Peter Duce dancing, current TikTok, except he's doing it as a joke, right? It's not something I expect him to be doing every day. But if he's giving me words of wisdom every single day, that's going to be like, yeah, that's in line with what we see Peter Duce as. And people would follow him exactly for that. So be someone of value, be someone who knows their target audience and speaks to them consistently, and then pick platforms that works for you. Okay, I'm done. Dr. Mayoko, over to you.
Yeah, Blessing, I was going to ask you about storytelling. I mean, I know that that's one of your forte. Could you speak to that too, with regards to women-led businesses, and how to promote that?
All right, so storytelling, I think that we sometimes and most times overthink it. I think the story as it is what makes you special and unique. Just figuring out parts of that story put together. So one of the things I always say is, as you interact with individuals, explore what kind of relationships you have with them, right? So the gist that you give your close friend and your best friend is not the gist that you give your normal friends or people who are on the internet. So define very early on, what is it that you're going to say to people on social media or in public or through press or whatever? What are the things that you will also never say, right? You can run your business consistently without bringing your family into it if that's not something that works for you. You can run your business consistently without talking about your day-to-day normal life. Those things exist. You can completely talk about your business without necessarily pulling, things that are too personal to you, and you would still come off as authentic. So define very early on, and you can also do it while still talking about your family. So just really define what it is that you're comfortable sharing, and then pull from your stories and leverage those stories to help your audience connect and feel find relatable aspects with you. So for example, if you're going through a challenge, or maybe the reason that you started a business was because of a challenge that you personally experienced, pull that story and share it. If it's like you interacted with a customer and this was the story of a customer, pull the story and share it. Like the different aspects of your life that are worth telling our stories. I went to a farm. A friend of mine has a farm that is automated in the sense that he is 95% automated. It's a fishery. But what it does is, apparently you guys are, I don't know if you know this, but when you do fish farming on a normal day, right, and you put all the baby fish or tadpoles or eggs or whatever inside the water, apparently more than half of them die. They eat each other, so like different random things happen, and the number is actually more than half. But he found a way to, use technology to ensure that the water is cleaned up, the oxygen levels are better. Like he just found different technological things that they did in the place to make sure that 95% of the babies survive. And so that increased the outputs by a lot, right? And they never thought about, what if some of this fish had personality? What if we could call some of this fish Ayo and Uche? And we said, oh, hi, who wants to see a day in Ayo's life today? And we go around and we see Ayo, doing whatever, and we voice over that. That is a story. You could also talk about the journey to getting there. That's a story. Sometimes we always want to come off as perfect, but that doesn't help. Branding is not a destination. It is a journey. So think more about what is the process and progress story that I can tell that would ensure that, in the next 1 year, my customers will look back and be like, I was there when they had only 50 followers. People like to brag about stuff like that. So don't feel the need to be perfect. You don't also have to be an expert to share. You could just share your daily experience. You could share your challenges and what you're learning from that. You could share things that and just share that, because chances are there's somebody who doesn't know as well as you. One last thing would be, don't only think that stories happen through words. Stories can also happen through numbers. You could use data to tell your story. So for example, when I came here, I was like, we've trained 132,000 people, 364,000 applied. We gave 170,000 scholarships and all that. That is great. Those are numbers to tell you the scale at which we're operating, right? But then I could now pick one story from 130,000 people and say, this is the story of Evelyn, who used to be a farmer. She was a farmer for XYZ period of time. It was difficult for her, but now she accessed the scholarship that we did. She's now a graphic designer and she's earning like 10 times more than she was, ever hoping to earn. And, that reframes your mind as well. So you could tell stories through your customers. You could gather their testimonials and share their stories. But to gather a good testimonial, think about where they were before they met you, what challenges they were experiencing before they met you, how they met you, how their lives changed after they met you. Those are key things and key elements you should look out for when you're telling stories. Okay.
Thank you, Blessing. Thank you so much. I have one last question, but Imelda, I would like to come back to you to please finish up before I go to the last question. And Imelda, before you go on, please, participants, please drop your questions in the chat box so that I can pick them up. Thank you. Imelda, please. I think you're muted.
Okay, so basically, what I was saying, I made a reference to a fashion business, for instance, recording processes or how your daily activities go from purchase of materials, inventory, basically. So there are tools that you can make use of, and these things are quite free. Also, recording of your database in terms of your clients. So people and businesses need to know that they need to keep a track record of all their clients and their customers. So you can always reach out to them once in a while, do as little as communicating with them, getting to know them, their birthdays, do a shout out, things like that. And there are tools that you can make use of. For simple designs, you can make use of Canva, for instance. I know I earlier said you can outsource, you can do it yourself, take a few courses on all, read up on how to make a simple Canva post design, and then you can always make use of this for your social media platforms. There are also tools that allows you schedule posts on social media, so you don't have to keep up with time, and all of that. There are free tools as well for this. And then for recording of database, you can use something as simple as Google Sheets for that. You have a record of your customers, their names, their birthdays, their their birthdays, everything that has to do with them. And then also feedback forms are also very important. These are things that will help in terms of revenue and client relationship for your retention for your business. So how do you follow up with your clients? You have a feedback. So I made something for you. What was it like? You come back and then they fill the form and you record it as well. These are processes that will definitely change narrative in terms of sales. Now, also opportunities for in terms of accounting. I know there are tools that allows you send out, I mentioned invoices earlier, send out invoices to people and have a track record of it. So you can actually record, because a lot of times women-led businesses, sometimes they want to pay for one thing. They will send you from the business accounts. There's no record for it. If you're a fashion designer, you take the clothes, you put it on. You didn't put a record to it. You know, these are things that you can keep a track record of if you have these tools in place. And they are very free tools that allow you make use of these technological platforms for your business expansion and growth. Other opportunities that are there will be networking. You know, you can join communities that encourage women, female-led businesses, and give ideas as to how you can grow. Network with these people, go for events. You know, depending on your business sector, you can identify events for your business sector and attend these events, showcase yourself, and be very confident of what you do. And also, you're very focused. I know we spoke about being focused earlier. You need to be focused. So you know that this is what I am doing. I am a fashion designer. This is what I'm doing. Not tomorrow, I'm posting this and I'm posting something else. Be focused and be very consistent. Consistency is very key. So, I mean, these are the things that would aid the opportunities already available. So just to wrap it up, I've spoken about marketing your brand, also having a team that helps, you know, and then also talk about networking events, attending events, and being a part of a community that supports and preaches help for women-led businesses, basically.
Thank you so much. My final question is to all of you, you know, Mrs. Loretta, Imelda Blessing, and Dr. Mayoko. You know, it would be, what does success look like for a female-led, a woman-led business? What does success look like? I mean, well, Imelda, just to piggyback on, you know, a few things that you said, there are definitely tools that are available. And that's why one of my first questions, you know, hovered around formalizing businesses. The company where I work, Traction Apps, I mean, 3 foundations being lending, you know, business tools, and payment solutions, all right? The payment solutions basically allow you to, as you receive payments in your business, you know, it's recorded, your sales, your transactions are recorded, you can send invoices, you can send payment receipts, etc., etc. I mean, so not to delve into it too much, but there are definitely tools that help you to do that, all right? And there's solutions that are definitely available. However, holistically speaking, generally speaking, what does success look like for a female-led business? Ms. Loretta, I'd like to start with you.
I think something that I don't know if it was Blessing that spoke about it, or Maya, where he spoke about, I think success looks like when you're building a business that lives another generation. In that you have a business where you as a founder of the business, you're able to have another managing director run the business. So you become chairman or board member of your business, you know, or you actually able to sell your business to somebody else after you've, you know, built it up to a certain level. That's what success looks like to me. I believe that businesses that have been run for like 10, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, at some point you have to have someone that replaces you as the owner of the business or as the founder of the business, you know, someone that replaces you and continues in your stead. It doesn't mean that you're not involved in the day-to-day running of the business, or you might just be involved in certain things in the business, but not necessarily every single day-to-day running of the business. You know, you're not involved in operations as it were. And I think where the level where our business is, we're getting close to that. In fact, I think in some of our businesses, we actually have gotten close to that, where we have managers or MDs who are running a section of our businesses. You know, and it means that you might not have made all the money in the world, but you've led the business such that other generations have come in and taken over the running of the business, and it allows you to look back and sort of give yourself a part of the shoulder and say, well done. I've ran this business for such a long time, and I've had somebody else who's taking over the helm of affairs of the business, as it were, and that person is doing equally as great job as you did. And in some cases, they even do a better job because they're not looking at it with the emotional eyes that you look at your business as being a parent of your business, as it were.
Thank you so much, Ms. Loretta. Thank you. Dr. Mayoko, do you want to go next?
I mean, just to build on that, right? It's succession planning. That's essentially what Loretta had just talked about. It's succession planning. It's putting structure into your business that allows for that ensures that you don't have to be there to run the business. Someone else can take over ultimately, and even on a day-to-day, right? As individuals, I don't even want to say as women, as individuals, you can get very passionate about your idea, about how you see it running. But the truth is, for true scale to come in, you need to be able to actually let go, build structures. There's somebody that's driving marketing, that's driving sales, that's driving human resources. You can't do it all by yourself. So putting that structure in place that allows the company or the business to truly grow and scale is very key. The other part of it is sustainability, right? Whether we like it or not, a successful business is a business that's profitable. Is that business profitable, right? What's the cash flow of the business? Even if your profitability is 5 naira, right? Or it's 10 naira, right? Making sure that business is sustainable, that business is profitable. What are the unit economics of your business? How much does it cost you to actually produce one item or to deliver one service? And so that if it's profitable, even from that one item, right? That's what influences how it becomes profitable over items. Like, Loretta has talked about the fact that they're building estates. If you're not profitable at one estate, one home, right, it becomes a challenge over time. So I think for women, we need to put that in mind. There's a place for passion, right? We talk about passion. I'm doing this because of my passion. There's a place for passion, but you need to be able to lay onto that passion sustainability. That business truly becomes sustainable. You're not taking money from your private account to run the business because the business itself cannot, so for me, those would be the two key things: succession planning and sustainability for the business.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I will go to Imelda, then Blessing.
Okay, yes. So, okay. Can you mute your mic, Loretta?
You're good now. I can hear you now.
Okay. So for successful business for me would be a business who has outgrown you as a founder. So when you're able to build a team of people who are able to run your vision, that would be a successful business for me. You have a team of people who can run your vision. I mean, regardless whether you decide to sell out your company later, or you want to retain it as a generational business and pass it on to your children, your family members. It's also very important that you're able to run your business from anywhere in the world and things are working without your presence. And that can only happen if you've built processes that would enable this or can enable this. These processes, again, it still boils down to making use of tools, structures that would allow for it. Being able to outsource and delegate, and then you have people who can carry out what you told them to do. That for me is something it can happen in 1-2 years of your business. It just fully depends on how you intend to run your business. Are you running it as your own side hustle, or you want to run it as an organization? It can happen really fast. But again, it depends on how. I'll not want to say it takes a while. Yes, I know it can, but it sometimes can also happen fast. It depends on how you take your business or what you see your business as. So the day that you're able to run your business anywhere in the world with people going out to actually carry out your tasks for you, you need to deliver to a client, and someone did it without you, without your input. For me, that would be my measure for business success.
Thank you, Imelda, and we will have Blessing.
Okay. So for me, I think a successful business is one where two main people win, the customers and then the business, right? If you're solving a pain point for someone and you're making their lives better and they're willing to pay you for it, I think you have something great going. So no matter how little that sounds or simple that is, I think, that's the smallest level of success. The day that one customer believes in you enough to give you money in exchange for your service or your product, I think you should dance, be happy, and think about, how can we turn this one into 100, or how can we turn this one into 10 and this 10 into 100? Once you hear that, I am celebrating you. I am happy for you. And I think that, the world becomes your oyster. Of course, once that has happened from day one, don't wait till you have 100 customers before you start noting out what your expenses and your inflows are. Please start now. The things that you do on a small scale is what you take with you on a larger scale as well. Don't go into big deal without having a lawyer friend that you're speaking to who can advise you on something. Don't think that you can run it all by yourself, and you don't have to pay people to be your advisors. There's too many people who are happy to be on your board, who are happy to advise you. So leverage those people, ask for help as much as you can. Leverage legal help. Ask yourself, as you're sitting down right now, what would my successful business look like? And successful business, as you've heard from all of us, sounds different, could mean different things. It could be the same business that is exhibiting all these traits. So just ask yourself, what does success mean to me? And when I imagine the best version of my business, what does that look like? If I were as big as Dangote, what structures will I need? So what are the smaller versions of that structure that I can create and set up now in sort of manifesting that, I am big, I am strong, I am ready to partner with a government, I'm ready to partner, like, am I filing my taxes? Am I doing my books? Yes, if I'm spending from my internal money, personal money for my business, am I noting it down as an expense that the business owes me? Do I have a specific salary point that I have stated for myself, even if my business cannot currently pay me now? When we finally raise the 500,000 or the 1 million or the 20 million that we're hoping that we would raise, it can pay me back in arrears. Are these loans that I am giving to my business? See, you and your business are not the same people. Please try to make that very clear distinction, except you don't want to be big, except you just want to be a freelancer. And if you're a freelancer, that's fine. But if you're running this business as an organization, an entity that you have registered separately, that business is not you. So if you're not even making money, still ensure you're asking for advice to know how to file your taxes. Even if you're not making any money, you can file nil, right? Because see, if you don't do these little things now, in 2 years' time, let's say you blow, and you finally make 20 million.
They'll come back.
Who is this business that made 20 million? Where have they been saying that we've not heard of them, nothing? You'll now say that, oh, you've not been paying taxes. You have an 18-month break to not pay tax as a startup. However, you need to file nil every month to say, we're not making any money. We're not making any money on your corporate accounts. Don't also be one of these people who people call you and say, oh, do you have a business account? Let's pay 1 million. Don't do it, because when they pay down 1 million into that account, government is going to say you had revenue. And if government says 1 million revenue, it means you're going to pay your percentage VAT on that 1 million. So if somebody is using your account to do anything, charge them VAT. Go into the habit of invoicing as well. Figure out like your pricing. And if you're giving people discounts for whatever reason, even if they're your friends or your family members, write the actual price of that thing and then come back on that and say, 10% discounts, 50% discounts for family and friends. So that when that person goes and tells anybody else about the business, then they know what the actual price is and you can charge them, and you're keeping all these things and you're recording it. So get into the habit of documenting, get into the habit of thinking big, but starting small. Start where you are with what you have. Focus on your customer. Do your best for your one customer, and you would see if you can replicate that for your next 10, your next 100, you're going to grow exponentially. And don't treat after your customer buys, don't just let them disappear. Think about, how can I build a community for this group of my customers? How can I appreciate them? A lot of times we're always looking for influencers. I want Toke Makinwa to wear my dress. I want to eat my food. I want Davido to drink my drink. What about the people that are in your vicinity already that are consistently buying from you? What about Blessing, who is always buying Zobo from you? Like, if I'm already buying your drink, instead of going to wait for Davido, I probably have 1,000 followers that follow me. Why not reach out to me and say, Blessing, thank you so much. We've noticed that you've bought 10 drinks from us. We want to celebrate you. On your International Women's Day, highlight 10 of your top customers that are women and celebrate them and send them a beautiful drink and a nice note. Guess what will happen? Those people will post it because you're treating them, normal people, like the influencers. And guess what? They have 500 followers who are their real friends that are following them, that trust them. And so when they go out and they tell these their 500 followers about you, do you know what will happen? They're more likely to buy, because those 500 followers say, I bought this thing because of Nkechi. It's the different energy from I bought it because of Davido, right? And it's a different energy entirely. So yes, think big, but start small. Start where you are with what you have.
Thank you so much, everyone. Like, this has been a packed session. And, you know, again, I really hope that, you know, we have been empowered with knowledge and opportunities that we have spoken about today. One thing I'll just like to emphasize on is be focused on growth, but grow at your pace. You do not have to recruit everyone to fill roles, you know, roles of needs that you have in your business, right? You can recruit one person that can be everybody, can do everything, a generalist at the beginning, and then you continue to grow your business at the pace, but be focused on growth. I do not see any questions in the chat box, but I see I feel like this is a comment that said women are doing well in every facet of life. But when it comes to quote and unquote, come and head a nation, it becomes cat and dog between women and men. I don't even think it's cat and dog right now, because I don't think women are very involved in politics and heading a nation, as it were, right? The question is why? I don't think it's a situation of cat and dog yet. We're not, you know, we're not there yet. Women are not, I mean, we're just starting. So it's left for that to be somebody's priority, you know, before that can be, you know, a case of competition. If there are no other questions, I think that we are done with today's business clinic, today's SME clinic. Thank you so much, our speakers, our guests. You all have been amazing today. I had a great time. I'm also a guest, right? But I had a great time speaking to you all. And thank you to all our participants for joining. I'm hoping that, you know, we can, you know, have another opportunity to speak and meet, hopefully. Thank you, Mrs. Loretta. Thank you, Imelda. Thank you, Dr. Mayoko. And thank you, Blessing. I'm sure they will extend our thanks.
So much for having us. Thank you.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.